Alright, well, I'm back from New Hampshire, in my hometown again. Right now, I'm at the Mount Misery campground, starting a hike. This one's going to be up to, I think it's called the Legend Woods Shelter, in the Patchogue State Forest here. Behind me, this is one of the campsites. This whole area. You can see the field over there. I think there's about 20-something sites out here, maybe 30. And so this is why I like winter backpacking, because the bugs are, again, they're just horrendous. This is something good for people who like to go hiking in this type of year, this time of year to get. It's called Bug X. They sell them in little pocket-sized wipe things. You can just keep them in your day pack and put them on, and they work. I was getting eaten alive earlier when I tried to walk. I went back to the car and picked up one of these, and I mean, they're buzzing around, but they're leaving me alone now, which is great. So what I'm going to do is hike down up here to one of the blue trails, and then up Mount Misery. Once I get up there, back down the other side, and off to that Legend Woods shelter. I'll show you stuff along the way. So now you can usually park right up by the side of that field. Just walk down here. That's the entrance to the camping area. Here's Cut Off Road, and right up there, there's one of those Smoky Bear signs. Just past that, on the left, the blue trail forks off to the side and heads for Mount Misery. So right after you come to the Smoky Bear sign here, and you got this swamp area over on the side of you, the trail starts. There's some markers on the trees, and it just goes right up this way. The first part of the hike starts off through some pine barrens and mountain laurels, that kind of stuff. It's nice looking though. It's cool under the trees too. So a couple of trees got taken down at some time in the past in these barrens here, and they had just filled completely in with all these saplings. It's funny how the forest retakes itself that quick. I mean, all around me. The mountain laurels are starting to get in bloom too. A big chunk of the forest turns completely white when they start filling out. Very nice walking trail though. I mean, it has its steep parts when you're going up Mount Misery, but other than that, I mean, it's just a nice leisurely walk. Then here, I noticed a lot more of these out here. It's more the Indian cucumber root. That's all in here. At the start near the sign, there was more of it there too. You can see right here, some more of it. It's everywhere. I mean, it's all under there. Good to know though. So this is where the trail starts to make its ascent up to the top of Mount Misery. Now, again, everything's relative. When I say Mount Misery, that's what it's called. It's the highest point in Voluntown, but coming off of Mount Moosilauke, this is like a baby's mountain. This is like a hill. When you're walking up here, yeah, it has a steep spot for like 10 minutes or something, but it's not like anything like the White Mountains up in New Hampshire. So I'm partway up here. You can see down there, that's where I came from, and this is about the steepness of it. It switchbacks. It goes back down here to where I'm at, and then on up the hill here, over to that side, and eventually up to the top of it. But I mean, this is kind of funny. I mean, my legs are hurting still from hiking a real mountain 2 days ago, but I figured I'd make the effort. I need to get some fresh air. You can see now how the land slopes off on all sides of me. Over there, back from where I came, and then obviously up there where I'm going. I just wanted to make mention of one thing over here. When you see in Connecticut state forests a marked trail that has a single mark, it means you're following the trail. If there's 2 marks, it means there's a bend in the trail. And if there's 3, it means there's a sharp turn in the trail. So if you, as for example, I mean, here's the trail that came up here. It gets to this point. The 2 marks mean that it's turning, and it goes up there, up the hill. I mean, right now it's pretty apparent. You can see it plain as day. But in some other trails that aren't as properly cleared out, it's a little tougher sometimes. So just a good thing to know when you're out hiking out and about. If you get to one of those spots, those marker spots like that, pay attention so you don't wander off the trail. If you think you're still going straight because it looks like a game trail's going off straight or something, there should be a bend in the trail where you're at. Once you get past the pine barren area with the couple of switchbacks, you get up on some ledge of granite over here, and then the trees start to open up a little bit. This isn't it. This is just another part along the trail, but the top of Mount Misery looks a lot similar to this. Once you get past the granite area, the trail starts to descend a little bit, goes down to a little valley and then back up, and then the other side, I believe, is where the actual Mount Misery is. But it went into more deciduous forest too. After the granite, there's less pines, a lot more oaks and maples and that kind of stuff. Lets more of the light in too. As I said, the trail comes down the hill over here. You get to this little brook. If you needed to fill up a water bladder or anything, you probably wouldn't because it's not that far from the car. And then on the other side of the brook, the land goes back up again, like I said. And once you get up there, you can see a little bit further out. Once you start going up again, you get to another path with some more switchbacks. Again, the tree here, you can see the 2 marks, which means the trail bends, and I'm heading up, and then I have to go around this way to get up there. At the end of that, you can see another tree with 2 marks. That means it bends probably back up to the left again. So it's ultimately going up that way. I think Mount Misery, the highest point, is 441 feet, something like that. So it's nowhere near the 4,000 footers that are up in New Hampshire, but I mean, it's what we got. Now the trail continues steadily upward again, and we're back into the areas where there's more granite. The trail is right now is just solid granite, and as you go up, you can see where it ends up right up there. I don't know if you can see the little chipmunk there on the tree in the middle of the screen. I've seen about 6 or 7 of those things since I came up here. They are just everywhere. It's one of the few animals that is everywhere. And there it goes. And you can hear him going through the brush, moving. Well, here it is. This is the top of it. There's all this granite slab that's great for having picnics on or whatever. And right out there, you can see probably well into Rhode Island, I would imagine. I think Rhode Island's over that way, though. I mean, you could see all the open area that over here. If you can see the pond out there with all the trees that are dead, that section of dead trees. Looks like there's a pond or a swamp right in the middle of it. Yep. And there's farms off in the distance. You can look down here and see the actual drop down there. There's this ledge right here, and then it goes down to that one, and then there's a third one down at the bottom down there that you probably can't see in the trees right there. But yeah, even just looking how the trees slope down from here. Just a really cool spot to come up to, sit down, relax for a while. And this is, I think, about the halfway point to the shelter that's out there. That's on the backside of Mount Misery, coming back down the hill. There's a lot of Japanese pines over here. Same thing on the way down, you can see. It's a really cool looking little area. It's almost like a grove of them. And it continues down to a ledge. I had my dog down here one time. It was a pain trying to figure out how to get her down. She's kind of old too. But yeah, and there it goes. That's up the hill again. Once you get down the backside of Mount Misery, up there, you come out to an old abandoned logging road, and you only stay on this for, until just up there. When that turns off, right out of the camera's eye, you just keep going straight, and that takes you towards another trail that takes you to the shelter. The trail leaves the road again down that way. You can see where it is, and then starts coming up a little hill again. Once you've gone up a little ways, it heads down to a backside. There's actually some colonial sites out here too, right near the shelter and a little bit before the shelter. I'll point those out when I get to them. Back up there, that's the hill. The backside of it leads to the logging road, and then this trail comes to a T intersection. You gotta take the way to the right, and right up in the woods up here on the right is one of the colonial site foundations. You can just see it up there near that pile of dead wood. Yeah, right up in here. This is one of many of these. It's the kind of place that would probably be great for metal detecting. But it's funny to think, this was someone's house at one time, or where they held their livestock or something. You find these things in the oddest places. Here's some old metal from something that they had, maybe a can or a pot or something. The trail's right there. There's another brook near this shelter too, so there's a good supply of fresh water. And there's also some kind of, it almost looks like an aqueduct or something that was definitely man-made. I'll point that one out too. Here's another one of those different foundations. You can see where the land slopes in, goes up towards those bigger trees, out behind those big rocks, towards that big rock that's by itself. It makes sort of a rectangle. And then on the other side of the trail, same thing. From that dead stump, there's a little square that goes to this clump of 3 evergreens right there and slopes down. So there was one building right here at one time, one right across the road right there, and then the stone foundation up on the hill I was walking up to earlier. And you can see alongside the trail just after that, that looks like maybe a carriage road or something. It looks like you got 2 tire ruts going in the stone wall right here. Both sides is right up there and right here in front of us. You can see that row and this row, and then it looks like at one time that used to be a way in to where those buildings were right there. Piecing this stuff together is just so cool. I mean, if you try to sit back and, picture what this thing would have looked like in its heyday when it was standing and upkept and looking good, and even on here's another stone wall on the other side of the road down there by that brook. This was all someone's farm or something, and you can see again on this side of the road that same double-walled road goes up the hill up there and then off towards somewhere else. I mean, I would almost be interested in following that one day and just seeing where it ends up, where it came from. I mean, obviously the destination is those buildings back there, but I mean, was there a center of town up here or something, you know, during British colonial times? I mean, who knows? So yeah, it's cool stuff. So I guess we're following the Patrog Trail from, that's back where I came behind the camera, and then we're going up the Nahantic Trail this way. This is what I was talking about, if you can see it right there. This was definitely man-made. You can see all the stones stacked up. And I have no idea what it could have been used for. I mean, it looks way too high to have been a stone wall. Maybe this was a fort or something to protect against the Native Americans when the colonists were here. But you can see up this way, it's got almost layers to it right there. Maybe this was a fortification or something. You can see right up there. Here's this was all man-made. This was some kind of a bridge at one time, but it was probably built, obviously, with something besides this wooden thing on top of it. It probably had an older version of that made out of logs or something. But, I mean, you can see how they engineered the hole right there. I don't know how they moved all that granite. I mean, there's the square they made for the water to flow through. And then the rest of it continues up. You can actually walk along the top of that thing, and it goes somewhere. I'm not even sure where. So the bridge was back down the trail this way. The Nahantic Trail continues off that way. I think the shelter is down this little side trail that almost looks like a game trail. But if you see here, the top of that big old oak came down on top of it. So I'm going to have to bushwhack a little bit and see if I can find my way around to the shelter. That's kind of funny that happened. I'm pretty sure it's back there up a little hill. Yeah, it was. I found it. There's the trail. There's all the big trees that fell over. If you just go around the edge of them, follow. This is the trail, and it goes up here, and you can see the shelter right up there. I actually kind of prefer that happened. It kind of makes this place more secluded. I mean, obviously locals know about it, but it helps keep it off the beaten path so everyone and their mother isn't down here all the time. The nice thing about this one is there's actually several fire pits if you wanted to have a bigger group of people down. There's this one, the one over there. I think there's even a third one way out there. And the wood too. There's a lot of dead wood that has come down that you could easily saw off pieces. That oak branch right there. Yeah, I mean, here's the shelter though. They actually did a nice job on this one. People have left all kinds of stuff. You can see up here. There's propane and teapots. That broken axe was there from last time. Cutlery. pots and pans, and yeah, this is a really cool shelter. Out of the ones that are out here, I like this one. I mean, I can't say I like it the most, but I think if I was to pick any, the Green Falls one's the one I like the most, and I don't know why. But this one's got a lot of space around it to set up tents and stuff too, so that's nice. But yeah, this is it. This one's actually the best equipped out of most of them as far as stuff being left here by other campers, which is pretty cool. Here's the back of the shelter. You can see how nice and opened everything is up here too. There's another little fire pit right up here. I can imagine if out of any of the 4 shelters, if youth groups were going to go on these trips, this would be the one they'd pick probably, just because it's got all this open space. I mean, all these fire pits everywhere, a couple of trails heading in. There was that source of fresh water back there too, with that man-made bridge foundation. And there's another fire pit there. And I think there's one right up here. No, that's just firewood up here. Just a bunch of piles of cut up stuff. So yeah, there's the 3 fire pits out here, and more chipmunks. Yeah. But all this open soft space too. I mean, this is great for setting up tents. One right here, I mean, all over there. They probably did have tents up on them recently. So hopefully I'll be spending a night out here sometime with a buddy or two, if I can get him to come along. Or even if I can get my wife to. I don't think I can get her to, though. Cool place. Well, I'm back out at the car. Well, almost. The car's behind the sign. Down at the first campsite down here. Yeah, it was a nice hike. Not long. I mean, it had steep parts, but they weren't bad. I mean, considering the other one up in New Hampshire was 3 hours or 3.5 hours of non-stop vertical ascent, so this wasn't bad. And well, tune in next time. I'm not sure what I'm going to be doing. Maybe it'll be some fishing or something.